Sharon was such a beautiful soul. She didn't deserve that. She was meant to have this beautiful, beautiful life filled with so much adventure.
Sharon Santos was a case that rocked the Filipino American community. 20 years ago, she first disappeared after leaving her office in Burbank, and then a few days later being found in the trunk of her own car.
Losing her is one thing. Not having accountability is another thing entirely. And what we would like is to ensure that justice is found for her.
I have to commend Sandy and her mom for the years of strength and the endurance that you must have to live, losing a child, a sister, a best friend.
I've seen their strength, their resilience. It's 20 years. It's too long.
We're all here to help to fight for justice for Sharon, you know? Right. We all love and care for the family, we care for her, and we have to think of it like as if it happened to yourself.
Yeah, time alleviates a little bit, but the loss is still there. You know, it doesn't go away.
Edna is the mom.
Yes.
And Sandra is the sister. And both mom and sister are joining us today to talk about your daughter, your other daughter, and your sister, Sharon Santos. Sharon Santos was a case that rocked the Filipino American community.
The date was August 17th, 2004. After searching her apartment in Burbank, police realized very quickly that she didn't leave on her own. Her purse was still inside. 16 days later, her car was found in Chinatown, her body in the trunk. Police say the 30-year-old was kidnapped, raped, and murdered.
And this was such a big story, and I want you guys to talk a little bit about Sharon for those who only know her from that story. Ano pong klaseng anak si Sharon?
Mabait, na independent, kaya she had her own apartment.
I'm learning too that she may have gotten her independence from you because you also, a very independent woman, moved from the Philippines to here by yourself.
By myself.
Yeah. Ano pong nag-push sa inyo na lumipat dito sa Amerika?
Yung life sa Philippines. Tsaka nagtrabaho ko sa UST, mga doctor at nurses. They pushed me to come here. They said, in one day, you will find a job.
And you did. And not only did she find a job, she found a husband, and she found a love of her life. You got married, and you had two beautiful daughters, Sharon and Sandra. Sandra, what's it like to be the bunso, to be the second child?
Being a second child was interesting because even though I was younger of the two, our roles were almost reversed. And she would often say, you know, you're like the older sister to me. So I felt a certain level of protection over her.
I'm imagining growing up in a household where there's three independent and strong-willed women. You unfortunately lost your husband early when the kids were, how old were you?
I was 5 and Sharon was 8.
Right. And what was that like, being raised in an all-women household where you know there's like your mom is strong and independent and you were also being raised to be the same?
It was really all I ever knew. My dad passed away when I was at an early age and Sharon was very young. So I was really raised by all women. Our Lola also lived with us. So we were literally a group of little women. So She also was very independent and feisty and energetic. And so that, I think, influenced the way Sharon and I grew up and the values were ingrained in us and the way we conducted ourselves.
Sheila, how well did you know Sharon?
Well enough to call her my soulmate. She was my best friend and always will be.
How excited was she about landing a job at Warner Brothers?
Sharon was highly aspired. She was always determined to succeed. The goals that she set for herself was something on the lines of adventure, anything that will stretch her, expand her to grow. So when she got that job, she was super excited. And the independent woman that she is, she immediately just found a place and got all her ducks lined up just like she is. She's just super organized, and when she puts her mind to something, she absolutely gets it done.
I didn't know Sharon personally. I did come to the house when Sandra and I were in high school, and I would see her in passing. I just knew that she was just a tiny person with a loud voice.
I've never met her. I attended a celebration of life 5 years ago, and during that event, they introduced her and her memories, and I was so touched and inspired because of her adventurous life, a witty life, and I feel like I can feel and resonate her adventurous life, and she's doing her career, and then it's all cut short. So that's how I met her, through that.
Right.
Oh my God, I miss her.
Sandra picked me up. We went to the apartment that she's renting, and that's when we found out she was missing. I cannot explain in words, but heaven went down on me.
And so Sharon was 30 when you lost her. Can you recount to us, what were you doing when you found out? Do you still remember, and how you felt and what you did?
I was at work, and Sandra is the one who called me that if I heard from Sharon. I said no.
It was a confusing time. When I was at work, I got a call from her employer, which was Warner Brothers at the time. She was excited about this new job she had just started. And they gave me a call and said that Sharon had not reported into work for 2 days, which was very unlike her because she's very reliable. She was excited about her career. And I initially thought maybe she's just ill, although it'd be weird that she wouldn't call in for that. And so I told them that I would check in on her.
Sandra picked me up. We went to the apartment that she's renting, and that's when we found out she was missing. I cannot explain in words, but heaven went down on me.
I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the thought of her missing, it just never registered. It just wasn't possible, and I had just spoken to her about a week before because she was so excited to go on a weekend trip with some close friends of mine, and that was probably the last time I had spoken to her. So when she called, she said I hadn't heard from Sharon. I said, well, knowing her and how Sharon is, she always will get in touch with you. If she doesn't, there's always a reason.
Right.
So we just stayed hopeful, and I kind of leaned on to what I knew about her, and that's kind of what started it.
And so that hope was crushed when you found out about her car being found.
Yeah, it had been 2 weeks from the time that we'd reported her missing to the time they found her in her car. I remember that the detectives called me and let me know that they did find the car. And for me, I thought,
Oh, good.
good.
Yeah.
That can lead to more clues
Right.
to find her.
Right.
Not until they arrived to tell us in person did we realize what had really happened.
And that morning, I remember waking up and the words, find me, find me, find me. Like, we're gonna find her. I was so confused. It didn't register what she was saying. And I remember sitting there going, I'm sorry, what do you mean? I don't understand. Why are they taking her teeth imprints, you know? I just remember Sandy going, Sheila, and crying. And then the dam broke, and I couldn't breathe.
It was devastating to me. But even before they had told us, my mom already knew. So.
How? Paano niyo po alam?
Feeling.
Because you're the mom.
Yeah. Even before the news, the detectives came, I know already that there's no way she's alive.
I don't think that anybody expects anything this tragic and horrible to happen in your life. No one ever teaches you. You don't think about planning or preparing for something like this to happen. So I just shock and denial. But I knew that something needed to happen.
What about you, Tita? Yung longing ba for this daughter that you lost? Naibsan ba from time or?
Yeah, time alleviates a little bit, but the loss is still there. You know, it doesn't go away.
Time has helped me learn how to cope a little bit better, but does it lessen the pain? I don't know that it does. There is always going to be that void, and I don't know that it can ever really be filled.
And the truth was, I don't think I had ever really allowed myself to grieve Sharon. Because if I did, then that would mean I'd have to accept the fact that she was gone. And it is absolutely still debilitating.
And so I wanted to start this off as a story of loss because it was a big loss for both of you,
Yeah.
for the community, for the friends and family who knew Sharon. But 20 years later, you want the case reopened. There's a petition for the case to be reopened. Tell us about that. Tell us about, moving on from the loss, but then now the quest for justice.
Losing her is one thing. Not having accountability is another thing entirely. And what we would like is to ensure that justice is found for her.
20 years though, some people maybe in 20 years lack the willpower or lack the resources to push on. As Filipinos, we believe in God. Some people would say, let's surrender it to God. But you ladies have kept on fighting, and to this day, 20 years later, you still are fighting. Tita, you're pushing 80. Where do you get the strength to fight like this for your daughter?
Honestly, I don't know where I get the strength, but it's there.
We always wanted to make sure that Sharon was able to rest in peace. And part of that involved ensuring that she has justice.
I have to commend Sandy and her mom for the years of strength and the endurance that you must have to live, losing a child, a sister, a best friend, to sit there and think about how a man would just decide to hurt and rape somebody, and he's out there. To decide, I'm just going to kill you and I'm going to take your life like it was some cavalier because I just want to type of thing. And he's still out there. It's just so wrong. I can't really talk about the police and what they've done. You know, I can't speak for them. But what I can say is, you know, when there's a will, there's a way. And the hardest thing was, how do you bring back that sense of urgency to get the justice that this beautiful soul deserves? But I hope with what Sandy's doing and the rally she's doing to really bring justice to Sharon's case will be a catalyst to bring other things that have gotten cold back to the surface of urgency and importance.
What are your thoughts now that, 20 years later, they're hoping to reopen the case?
I think it's about time that this need to be revisited or something, to be reopened, because it has to, I feel like as a woman, like same age as her when her life was cut off, I feel like it's about time that this has to be resolved, because there should be some justice to be done on this. And it's, I feel it's brutal the way she passed, and I felt like she needs justice with this now.
Justice for Sharon and closure for
the family.
Right.
That's what I really wanted and pray for.
Edna is now 80 plus years, and I think she would love to see some type of movement, even close, as close as possible to finding justice for Sharon before her lifetime.
Do you think we'll find justice? Do you think you'll find justice?
I'm optimistic about it, I feel like that's all we have, is just to pray and hope and keep moving forward,
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing. I feel that I would say that I am 100% sure that this time should be, there should be justice, and I'm hopeful and praying too that there should be closure on this case pretty soon.
I don't think we would have started the efforts again with our friends and family and the community if I didn't feel like there was hope. And so I hold on to that.
Right. And hope is really something that we hold on to for as long as we're alive, right? Because that's what keeps us going. You know that a person is loved when it's not just family members talking about her or them or him, but it's also friends that are dedicating a part of their life, really, your time, your resources, to help, right? And to keep the memory alive. And that's why I think that the word share is brilliant, because this very aptly describes what's happening here. We're sharing. You're sharing your resources. You're sharing your time. You're sharing emotions with each other. You're sharing stories because you want to support and lift each other up during this. It's been very difficult, I imagine, for the family as well. But then also share, in a word, is an acronym.
Right.
For, what is it? Would you call it a movement, or what is it? What would you describe it?
Yeah, I think it would be considered a movement. SHARE stands for support, honor, advocate, raise awareness, and engage.
Right.
And we're all here to help to fight for justice for Sharon,
Right.
We all love and care for the family, we care for her, and we have to think of it like as if it happened to yourself. Yeah.
I understand that not just the meaning of the name of the movement, but it's also Sharon's kind of nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time you mention it, you're like, she's there. It's Share.
Right.
What is your involvement in Share?
I just felt like whatever they need me for some reason, it's just something like if she needs something like that, or Sandy needs some help, so I just go out my way.
Right.
The more awareness that we bring to the community and to everyone around us, the more support and help, manpower, funds, just to keep this going and to finally get justice for Sharon. There is a Sharon's website where you can actually, inquire about the Sharon team. And you can also advocate for Sharon through letters and sign the petition, change.org. And just, we have a newsletter that goes out weekly. And they could just sign up to get more information and reach out.
If she were alive today, if she had been given that chance to live out the last 20 years before her life was cut short at 30, what do you think would she be doing? Do you think about that? Where would she be now? I mean, what would her life be like?
She's a driven person at work and in her life. So she will be doing what she had to do when she was alive. Risky things like skydiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
She traveled extensively. She also studied volcanoes at one point. She graduated with a aerospace studies degree.
She probably hit half the world by now, Hopefully she dragged me along to a couple of them. Come back with so many amazing stories. More importantly, come back with all these people that she would have met along the way.
I think one day she aspired to have a family of her own. And I could have imagined her getting married one day, having kids, and that was stolen from her.
What is this experience and Sharon's story and your involvement in it teaching you about life?
I think it's just resilience. It teaches you a lot about, what you can do and what you don't think you could do,
For me, it's just life and family. That's the most important thing here. And that really, it can happen to anybody.
It's taught me to, on a very, very deep level, to understand what it means to appreciate those that have come into your life that are special. We all say life is too short. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do and act on in your life that if it's your time, you can look back without any regret and to feel good that you actually made an effort to make a difference in the world?
How can the community support you?
Reminding everyone that she was a Filipina, just like all of us, helping to ensure that her memory is kept alive, furthering her legacy, offering help to other families that may be going through something like this, and share the lessons that we've learned.
Until when will you keep looking for justice?
I don't think there is a timeline. There's no end date. I don't know that we'll ever really stop. She was my sister. She was a daughter. She's a friend. This is for the long haul.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I can see you guys being brave. I know some of the details to recount is excruciating, so thank you. And we're with you in this fight, and call on us if there's anything we can do to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless.